Picture this. Monufia, Egypt, 2003. The air itself feels different. Thick with this mix of fear, maybe desperation, and weirdly promise.
And right at the center of it, you have this house, Kawsar and Saadiya's house.
Exactly. If you needed something, a blessing, a cure, maybe even the ruin of an enemy you got in line, this long, almost fearful queue outside their place.
These weren't just any mystics. They were notorious, known across the whole region for, well, let's call it high-stakes sorcery, a dark business they ran.
Yeah, a business. You mentioned something about Dajjal, like really dark stuff they hinted at.
Right. Sources suggest they invoked these really potent, terrifying concepts. Whether they actually did anything supernatural is, beside the point.
My point was control.
Absolute financial control. They tapped into these deep-seated fears, religious, social, and weaponized them. It wasn't a magic. It was, frankly, ruthless exploitation.
That queue, it was basically people lining up, paying to be manipulated, and inside the house.
Oh, it was compartmentalized, chillingly organized, really. Simple requests, blessings in one area.
And the heavier stuff, the lower magic.
Separate room, more secretive. And, of course, a higher price tag for everything. That's how they built their wealth.
And the fear they generated.
Right.
It was palpable, right?
Yeah.
Like even neighbors kept their distance.
Absolutely. Avoided the fence line, wouldn't make eye contact. They seemed completely untouchable.
Until they weren't. Until that one morning when everything just shattered.
Yeah. The villagers woke up, and the scene was just horrific.
Kawsar and Saadiya, dead. Right in the entrance hall. The description was slaughtered and drowning in blood.
But the detail that sticks, the truly disturbing part.
Their hands completely severed and the fingers scattered.
It's gruesome.
Immediately your mind jumps, right? Ritual. Occult revenge, given their line of work.
Sure, that's the sensational thought. But the police arriving on scene, they're looking at it differently.
They're thinking, what kind of professional violence, what kind of person creates a scene that's both this meticulous and this brutal? It seems contradictory.
And that's the core question we're diving into. Our goal here is to piece together what happened, what led up to this execution, and who was this phantom killer. Someone who got in, did this, and got out clean.
Clean is the word. Because the initial sweep found what?
No forced entry, doors locked, windows intact. Whoever did this was let in or had a key.
So, not a random break-in.
Definitely not. And the timing likely happened fast. Maybe an hour or two before they were discovered. Probably around 2 a.m. activity last heard.
Okay, so the circle tightens immediately. It's someone they knew, someone within that supposedly trusted client base.
Or someone they thought they could trust.
And the medical examiner's findings just add another layer of, well, strangeness.
Fascinating is one word for it. Shocking is another. The ME reported that the throat cuts and the severing of the hands done with extreme professionalism.
You mean?
Meaning a very sharp knife, single direction cuts, aimed for instant death. This wasn't like a rage-fueled hacking.
It was practiced.
Exactly. Someone who knew the mechanics of slaughter. Which brings us back to the hands. Why?
Okay, so the police have this skilled killer, no forced entry. What's the working theory?
Well, the most obvious thing was the gold.
Right, there were a lot of jewelry.
Tons of it. Gold bangles, rings. Very conspicuous. Their hands were apparently quite noticeable because of it.
So, theory one, robbery. Cutting off the hands was just faster, a grim shortcut to get the loot.
That became the primary police theory, yeah. Quickest way to get the gold off.
They pretty much dismissed the local chatter, the talk of satanic rituals or spells gone wrong.
They wanted hard evidence, tangible stuff, but the crime scene itself was a nightmare for forensics, wasn't it?
Oh, completely. Think about it. Constant stream of clients for years. Fingerprints everywhere. Hundreds, maybe thousands of different prints. Finding the killer's prints in that mess. Almost impossible.
And these clients weren't just local villagers.
No. They'd built this reputation over 6 years. People came from surrounding areas, even other provinces. They owned property, clearly making good money. The pool of potential known visitors was huge. So how do you even start narrowing that down? Especially if the killer was careful.
It seemed like an impasse. Until one tiny detail surfaced during routine interviews. Almost missed it.
What was it?
Just a casual mention, someone talking about who hadn't been seen around lately. They mentioned a guy named Shaaban el-Sayed.
Okay, and who is Shaaban?
He was a butcher from Cairo, the Sharabeya area specifically, but he was married to a local woman in the village.
Ah, so he had a connection.
Right. He visited often, usually stayed a few days, but recently, he'd vanished. No one had seen him.
And the investigators hear butcher.
Exactly. And suddenly it clicks. The professionalism of the slaughter, the dismemberment, it aligns perfectly with the skill set of, well, a butcher, someone practiced with knives, with carcasses.
In a small village, that kind of detail, that job title, it stands out.
It became the crucial link. They ran a background check immediately.
What did they find on Shaaban the butcher?
Turns out he used to be pretty successful, had his own shop, doing well. But recently, not so much.
Financial problems.
Massive debt. Struggling badly.
Okay, so that strengthens the robbery motive again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Desperate man, knows the sisters have wealth, maybe gold.
Absolutely. It fit the initial police narrative perfectly. Desperation, opportunity, and the unique skill set to carry out that specific kind of violence.
So they track him down.
They moved fast, found him in Cairo at his butcher shop, and arrested him.
What was his reaction? Did he confess?
No, not at all. He played it cool, had an alibi ready, claimed he hadn't been near the village for a whole week, said he had witnesses in Cairo who could back him up. Seemed pretty airtight initially.
But the police must have suspected he was lying. How did they break the alibi?
They went back to the village and back to Cairo and started digging deeper into his supposed movements. And the alibi started to crumble.
What did they find?
Two key things. First, a witness in Cairo saw Shaaban leaving his home very early on the morning of the murders, like 4 a.m., highly unusual for him.
Okay, that's suspicious timing.
Very. And second, they found multiple witnesses down at the public transport station. People who specifically remembered seeing him, Shaaban the butcher, getting onto a vehicle heading towards Monufia that same morning.
Ah, so his Cairo alibi was blown. He did travel.
Completely blown. When the police confronted him with that evidence, that witnesses placed him traveling to the village, he knew it was over.
And he confessed.
He broke, admitted everything, killing both sisters, but he insisted, absolutely insisted, it wasn't just about the money.
There was more to it.
Much more. He claimed the motive was deeper, darker. It was about revenge, personal destruction.
Okay, so what was the real story according to Shaaban? This goes beyond robbery now.
Right. This is where it gets really disturbing psychologically. He painted this picture 6 years ago. He said he was happy, successful butcher, stable life. Then he moves. His wife is local to the village.
And she starts visiting the sisters.
Frequently. He notices this. And soon after, he starts experiencing, well, problems. Strange symptoms, things going wrong in his life, maybe issues with his wife, impotence even. He becomes convinced he's cursed.
Cursed by the sisters at his wife's request.
That's what he believed. He got obsessed with this idea of Sur al-Rabat, binding magic. He thought his wife had paid the sisters to cast it on him so he couldn't leave her, couldn't succeed independently.
Wow. So a deep paranoia takes root.
Exactly. And it's rooted in relationship control, hitting all his insecurities. So what does he do? He confronts the sisters.
And what do they say? Deny it.
Oh, no, that's the twist. They were, as we said, professional scammers. They saw an opportunity. They confirmed his fear.
They told him he was cursed.
Yes, they told him the magic was powerful, deeply embedded, but conveniently they could help him break it for a price.
Of course. And thus began the exploitation.
Precisely. They started demanding money, endless tasks, special items he had to procure. Always one last step, one final payment needed for the cure.
Bleeding him dry.
Totally. He poured all his savings into it, went into massive debt, chasing this cure that never came because the curse itself was likely just his own paranoia fed by them. It drove him to a complete psychological breaking point.
So the investigators thought they had a simple robbery murder.
And instead, they found a man who genuinely believed he was trapped in a supernatural battle. He wasn't just trying to get his money back, though maybe that was part of it.
He thought killing them was the only way out, the only way to break the spell.
That's what he claimed. He was convinced killing the source of the magic, the sisters themselves, was the only way to free himself from this curse that had ruined his life. The violence, in his twisted logic, became a necessary act, almost therapeutic.
That is chilling. The level of manipulation on their part and the depth of his breakdown.
Absolutely. And his planning reflected that desperation, that single-minded focus.
He planned it meticulously, didn't he? Despite being in this state.
Oh, yeah. He confessed the whole plan, aimed to be in and out in under 15 minutes. Chose the early morning, around 6 a.m. when he arrived, figuring people would be asleep. Fewer witnesses.
How did he get in? We know there was no forced entry.
He just knocked.
Oh.
When Kawsar answered, he used the perfect deception, told her he was there with the final requests, the last items needed for the cure.
So she let him in willingly, trusted him even at that hour.
Seems so. And as soon as she turned her back, he attacked.
How did he describe it?
He said he suffocated her first, then he pulled out the knife. He'd hidden it inside his clothes. Apparently, he wore 2 robes, one over the other, specifically for this.
Smart. To hide the weapon and maybe deal with blood later?
Exactly. He pulled the knife and slaughtered her. His description was brutal. He said he saw her flapping on the ground like a slaughtered animal.
God. And the other sister, Saadiya.
The noise woke her up. She came out, and he killed her next. Same way. Quick, brutal.
And then the hands.
Yeah.
That came after they were both dead.
Yes. That's when the gold became a factor again, but in a different way. He tried to pull the rings and bangles off quickly.
But they were tight. Stuck.
Apparently. He realized it would take too long. Longer than his planned 15-minute window. Getting stuck fiddling with jewelry could ruin his escape.
So, reverting to his professional skill.
He decided cutting off the hands and fingers was faster, more efficient. Get the gold, stay on schedule, grim, but ruthlessly logical in his state.
Then what? Grab the cash.
Yes, stole cash he found in the bedroom. Then, the final part of the plan, shed the evidence.
The outer robe. The bloody one.
Exactly. Took off the blood-soaked outer robe, dumped it in a nearby sanitary drain, like a sewer drain, leaving him relatively clean in the robe underneath.
And then straight back to Cairo.
Immediately. Got back as quickly as possible and made sure to be seen. Spent the day very visibly in his local area, interacting with people, establishing that false alibi that he hadn't left.
Incredible planning. But obviously, not perfect.
Not perfect enough. The witnesses who saw him travel, the timing, it all caught up with him. He was convicted and sentenced to death.
What a spiral. It's like 2 destructive forces colliding.
That's a good way to put it. You have the sisters' relentless greed and deception on one side, pure exploitation.
And on the other, Shaaban's deep psychological vulnerability, his maybe lack of critical thinking or faith, allowing him to fall into that trap.
Right. The sources kind of suggest that the end the sisters met was almost a logical consequence of the life they chose. A life built on fraud, preying on desperation. It's a horrible outcome, but perhaps predictable given their methods.
And Shaaban. His actions were monstrous, criminal, but driven by this immense pressure cooker of fear and paranoia that they stoked.
Exactly. He was pushed to the edge, convinced that this extreme violence was his only possible path to freedom. Killer and victims entangled in this web of fear and lies.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even today, with science and information everywhere.
People are still susceptible, still driven to extremes by deeply ingrained beliefs, by desperation for easy answers, by skilled manipulators.
What kind of pressure, what kind of fear could push any of us towards abandoning rational thought like that? It's unsettling.
It really is. A dark reminder of how fragile reason can be when fear takes hold.
A truly haunting end to this deep dive. Thank you for joining us.